All right. Hi. This is Toots,
Damien.
And Wormboy.
and we are the Three Dudes of Horror.
What's up, guys?
We're back again.
Yeah.
Another episode.
Yeah, and now this episode we're gonna talk about psychological horror, but first we're gonna
Something we had to mention that I'm sure all the horror fans out there are going nuts about. So we're gonna have to dedicate the beginning of our podcast to, which is
the new It trailer.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Got to give our thoughts about that.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. It looks fucking awesome.
It looks like, to me, it's gonna be innovative. Like, it's not gonna be like a straight rehash of the 1990 It. It looks like they're going in. I mean, it's following the same story because it's Stephen King's It, but it looks like they're going different routes, like with Pennywise, with the Lucky Seven, and plus, it's from what I hear, it's going to be a two-parter.
Yeah, and I know there's that video out there that compares like the 1990.
I know, I
and,
saw that one.
Yeah.
You know, and this new one, and I don't think it's gonna be the case. You know, like it's gonna be the case to a certain extent because it's a remake.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be shot for shot.
No,
not.
because like in the first one, he doesn't hit himself in the head when he's going for the boat.
Yeah, like the Psycho, like the remake of Psycho, that was just shot for shot, like the original.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, so
I wanted to mention that, like for the most part, it's like Gus Van Sant's Psycho was just Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Yeah, if you saw the original, you saw the remake.
Yeah.
Literally.
But I think the clown or Pennywise or whatever you want to call it, this and the new one, it looks, for me at least, it looks scarier than the first one. The first one to me was more like, I guess, more childish to me.
No, but I mean, we grew up
With
like
those type of clowns.
But did you see the movie when it first came out, like on TV?
Not when it first came out, but
oh, okay. No,
I saw it like when it was on video because my mom would, of course, once again, my mom would make us watch the horror movies.
But you saw it when it first came out on
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, I saw it, and like looking back on it, it may seem a little childish, but we grew up like when it actually debuted.
So there's nostalgia there.
Yeah,
for us.
so to us, Tim Curry's portrayal was scary.
Yeah.
But it was a fun scary.
But you know what I wanted to mention about Bill Skarsgård's portrayal of Pennywise was the costume.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I saw like the first production shot that they released of him like in full costume, and it seemed kind of like I was kind of like I don't know, like scratching my head because it had like the ruffles in it. But then I started thinking like it's like a period costume, like it looks kind of like an 18th century circus clown costume. And then I started thinking that kind of makes the characters seem more creepy because you get a sense of like there's a history to him. He's more ancient, you know.
Yeah.
There's more of a story to him. He's been around for long, you know.
Yeah, maybe he's been there for years. Yeah.
He's wearing like that period costume, you know.
Yeah, and I think what made the Tim Curry Pennywise scary was the fact that he looks like just any other clown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once he gets in your face and like tries to eat, you know, like if
blood.
you're a kid, yeah, and the crooked teeth and the eyes and all that. But he looks like a normal, I guess if you want to call it normal, like a normal clown.
Yeah.
You know, but Skarsgård's portrayal looks more ancient. You know, like he looks like okay, yeah, like you said, he has a history.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, like in the book, you know, and even in the original, it mentions that he was, every 30 years. You know, in the novel, it's like 28 years.
Yeah.
Has
it been 30 years?
Huh?
Since the first movie?
1990, so 20.
It's coming up.
It's gonna be 27 years.
It's kind of creepy, man.
It's more coincidence than anything.
No, it's creepy.
Unless Stephen King is like, okay, now we gotta release it.
Well, I mean, the other update that I had to mention was what we were talking about, that the new It is like when they're children, when the Lucky Seven are children, it takes place in the 80s, which is that update makes it more relatable to us because we were like kids in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then like, so when the Lucky Seven are adults, it's gonna be like in modern day, so it's gonna be more relatable to people. So I still think the original It is good, but this new one, like I'm psyched about it. Like, and I like how they don't show too much of Pennywise in the trailer. It's a lot of teasers and because you want to keep that mystique with the monster.
And I wonder if they are going to introduce the werewolf version, the mummy version, him coming out of the.
Well, I'm sure they're going to show him
coming out of the drain.
I'm sure they're going to show him like in different forms, but I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, you never know. You never know if it's going to be the same as maybe they'll be more faithful to the novel.
Maybe he'll be like a Stretch Armstrong doll.
Because I know at some point in the
Rubik's Cube.
Because I know at some point in the novel, he takes the shape of like a bird, like a huge bird. But yeah, like he can pretty much anything that you're frightened of or you think that you're afraid of.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. So on this one, I think, like, if I had to rate just the trailer, I give it a 10 out of 10 for me.
It's up there for me. Like, for me, it's at least an 8.
Yeah,
like at least
it's an 8 or
probably
9.
Definitely a 9. Like, it got me psyched about it. I want to see it.
I can't wait.
That's what trailers are supposed to do.
And come out to September. Man.
And we already have. Significant others or friends that are just like, I still don't want to go see it. And my reaction when I saw that on Facebook was like, oh, just suck it up and just go.
Yeah. Well, opening night, I'm gonna fucking be.
Oh yeah, me too.
I wonder how many people are gonna dress up as clowns.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are gonna be like Pennywise, the old Pennywise.
Yeah. I would love to do it, but my wife's terrified of clowns, so count me out on that one.
Yeah, you don't want to get your balls chopped off.
Yeah.
So, with that, we had to start our podcast with just a brief introduction of our thoughts on the It trailer, but now we have to move on because our host Toots had some homework to do.
Yeah, did you do your homework?
I did. I saw Cloverfield for the first time on DVD, or regular Ray as I call it. And my first reaction was it was pretty good. I really enjoyed the movie. I can see why watching it at the theater people would start feeling like motion sickness.
That was me.
Yeah, like, and I saw Hardcore Henry.
Ah, fuck that movie.
Oh my god, that one.
That movie moves too much, dude.
Like, I was watching it with a few of my friends, and they were all nauseated by the end of it. They couldn't really stand up. I was dizzy. But I was dizzy, kind of like when you're reading a book while a car is moving,
Yeah.
So my eyes felt incredibly strained, but I didn't feel nauseated. And then watching Cloverfield on just a regular, screen, at home, like, I didn't feel motion sickness or anything like that. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters, or at least the core characters, because there was a whole lot in the beginning. I thought T.J. Miller was pretty funny. To me, he did get a little bit annoying at times, especially when he would start to kind of press on, like, aren't you going to say something to the, to the camera or something like that? Especially once, the shit starts hitting the fan.
But he was kind of supposed to be the cliche obnoxious best friend in the horror movies, though.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Like
so that's why
last episode, the typical character.
Yeah, so I can understand like where that tiny hint of annoyance like for me came from, where it's like, oh yeah, well he's supposed to be this character.
Yeah.
And T.J. Miller is pretty funny, especially like in Deadpool.
Well, as far as the authenticness, I don't even know if that's a word. Like the
authenticity.
There you go. Hey, authenticity. Like did it seem like real footage, like that someone would have recovered from,
I think so. The CG, when did it come out? Like 2008, something like that?
It was around there.
It was around there. So the CG wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So if you were to see it, like, you could probably buy, like, oh, okay, well, these monsters are there. And one thing I really, really liked about it is the fact that they don't explain where the monster came from. They don't know why it's there, attacking the city. The only assumption you have, the only conjecture you have, is what T.J. Miller says, or his character HUD said about, well, it's probably a government project or something like that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know. That's what he thinks, but he makes it clear that that's all it is. It's just conjecture,
Yeah.
So it doesn't. The movie doesn't go out of its way to try to explain. Okay, this is
Like he's just speculating.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
But that element makes the movie more realistic, though.
Yeah.
Like, they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and like the newscasters, they don't know what's happening other than the fact that the city is getting destroyed.
And what you think when you finally saw it?
The monster.
The monster or creature, whatever you want to call it.
The first time I saw it, this is before you actually fully see it. I was thinking of Cthulhu because I was just like, oh man, does it have like tentacles and whatnot? It turns out it really doesn't, from what I've seen. And the other part I really liked is once it starts dropping the babies, and the babies start going, and then it bites Lizzie Kaplan's character, Marlena, I think that was her name.
To me, those little babies were more terrifying than the actual big Cthulhu monster, whatever. Like I don't know, those were more terrifying to me. Like,
yeah, but one of my qualms with the movie is actually two qualms. There are certain moments, and this is more of a nitpick, a real big nitpick, is the fact that you do see moments where you'll see like cuts, you'll see like edits, but it doesn't seem like an edit that would be like from a camcorder like that. It seems way too smooth. So, and it didn't take me out of the movie. It's just something I kind of noticed.
Yeah, you're very picky.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. But every once in a while it'll happen.
But you did notice the Coney Island Easter egg at the end.
Which one?
You didn't see it, did you?
Huh?
No, I didn't.
When they're on the Ferris wheel at Coney Island.
I remember that. I remember that part, but I don't remember.
But you didn't see when they pan towards the ocean and you see something way out in the distance falling from the sky and it splashes into the water.
No, I didn't notice that.
Oh,
I didn't notice that.
You need to watch it again.
That's what
that's
your homework for next week.
That's irony right there. I can pick up a little edit, but I couldn't see shit in the background.
Well, in the last podcast when I mentioned that like the footage that they HUD accidentally recorded over, that it ties into the movie was mainly I was talking about that, which when I saw the movie back in 2008, I always assumed that was the Cloverfield monster like falling out of space or something, but you find out later that I don't see. I can't say it either. Have you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I can't.
If I barely saw this one.
All right, dude. Then your homework for this week. Gotta watch 10 Cloverfield Lane. They explain more they don't explain much, which was what makes that series good, I think. That makes that franchise good.
Yeah, and but yeah, this isn't a qualm. It's just like a cliche that I saw, is the fact that regardless of where the cuts are, in terms of like when the camera's actually turned off and then turned back on, it's coinciding with okay, so this is where the original footage is ending, like the Ferris wheel thing. So say goodbye and this and that, but it didn't really bother me. It's just like, oh, okay, that's another cliche.
Well, usually I'm not gonna try to act cool. Usually I don't notice Easter eggs the first time I watch movies, but when I saw it in the theater that time, when they panned towards the ocean, I was like consciously looking for it because I was like, they're gonna show something because the monster came from the ocean. When he takes the head off the Statue of Liberty.
But now that you mention that Easter egg. That whole thing, that whole cliche part of, well, okay, now it's that whole cliche part of like the original footage is ending and what actually has a purpose now,
Yeah.
No, but the one qualm I had with the movie, and it's more just, and I can understand the characters are in a panic because shit's happening, and and then Rob, the main character, his brother died. And at first I was just like, wow, such emotion for his dead brother. But no, I can understand. He was in a state of shock. But the qualm I had is like we gotta go find Beth. We gotta go find Beth. You know, and I remember at some point I'm like, dude, just cut your losses. Just go. You know, because I'm a sadistic bastard.
Yeah, but what if you had a Beth? Would you wait or you take off?
But here's the thing, though. No. Here's the thing.
Oh yeah, I would wait for my Beth.
No. But here's the thing. There weren't even like, from my understanding, there weren't even like an official like couple.
Yeah.
I understand if they were like newlyweds, because I'm sure if it was like years in marriage, they'll probably be like, oh, okay, I'll probably just trade up or whatever. But I mean,
but he was in love with her though.
Yeah, they were angry with each other and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, it's just, I don't know the fact. But here's the conundrum for me. Yeah, they go after Beth. They rescue her from the building, which was a pretty cool scene. That whole sequence, I thought was pretty cool, where they have to go up the one building and then cross to the other.
That tripped me out. Like that was filmed really well.
Yeah, and
but I mean, it was in a way. I mean, it was like a plot device to like they gave them a reason that it made it more interesting. Like they have to go back into the lion's den per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and but this is the conundrum I was going to mention. It cost pretty much all their lives because she survived for a bit and then they died at some point. But if they didn't go, they wouldn't have. T.J. Miller wouldn't have taken the camera for the green light for the tunnels, and hence the lighting and all that. Like if they managed to get there, and they also wouldn't have stumbled upon the mall that had the soldiers and everything, and find out there's going to be.
But that's what
chopper.
I mean. It was.
It
was that plot device. They had a reason to have to go back into the lion's den.
So it was essentially like a mixed blessing that ended as, I guess, a curse, at the end because they all died.
Yeah.
Well, to sum it up, like, if you had to give it a grade, F to an A or 1 to 10, what would you give the movie?
I would give it a B plus. I would give it a B plus, maybe A minus.
Fair enough. It's probably in that range too for me.
What would you give it?
It's probably in that range too for me. I mean, it's not like an A plus, but I like the movie. Like it's enjoyable. It's in that same range for me.
Yeah, like and you?
I would give it C plus.
You didn't think too much of it?
No, not really. I was actually disappointed.
Why were you disappointed? Just
I don't know.
The characters.
The characters. I guess kind of like what you said with. I know I said bad, but it's a movie, but there isn't too much substance for me.
Oh, okay.
To make it interesting on a human level, they have to have that love story.
The real
because if not, they would have been one-dimensional, and a couple of the characters like Lily, like the girlfriend of the brother Jason, like I would say her character is probably the in my opinion the most one-dimensional out of all of them, but you can only do so much if it's found footage,
right?
And they don't have time to have an exposition dump,
Yeah.
They don't have enough so I'm like.
But they have time to edit.
Huh? Oh no! I'm not saying like they did it.
I know, I'm just joking.
Like in Diary of the Dead or anything. I'm just saying that's just something that, that was like a director's choice.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought it was pretty good. It's one of those movies where I actually kind of regret not seeing it at theaters. Although I wonder how I would have taken the motion sickness. So I guess if I made it through Hardcore Henry and I didn't throw up or anything.
Yeah, that one's worse.
Yeah, that one was worse.
I haven't seen Hardcore Henry. Well, whenever the third installment in the Cloverfield franchise is released, maybe
it's out on Netflix or something instead of going to the theater.
No, I'm saying maybe you'll get your second chance because maybe they'll show the first two in the theaters whenever that one gets released. So.
Yeah, or they'll make a remake of that one eventually anyway. Because they're making remakes of everything.
Yeah.
But with that, we're gonna move on to the actual main topic of our podcast tonight, which is, I guess it's the last subgenre that we were gonna focus on.
Yeah.
Or for now, we could move on to other ones later, but
but for now, I think we've done quite a bit.
We went through different subgenre, but
well, this one for me is the big one because probably when it comes down to it, my favorite subgenre of horror is psychological horror.
Yeah.
Like, that's the movies that actually make me think the most. And,
They fuck with you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Like, that's the ones I rewatch the most. And so, to kick off psychological horror, I know. Well, because we've been skipping around this one. We've been skipping around this one for a while because of may he rest in peace, the recent departure of Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
Which is not a big one. It's very underrated that Bill Paxton actually directed was Frailty.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that he actually directed that movie.
I didn't know that.
Wormboy didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't see this one at theaters. I actually just picked it up on DVD when it came out.
Neither did I. I never saw it in theaters. It was something I saw later on when it came out on DVD. Have you seen Frailty?
I think I've seen it, but I really don't remember it.
Well, just, for the listeners out there.
There's a girl involved, right? It's like the main character, or no?
No, there's no.
Well, I was about to say, like, for the listeners out there, anybody that hasn't seen it, Toots, can give like a brief synopsis of like the main plot of Frailty.
Well, pretty much, Bill Paxton plays a father. He has 2 sons, and it kind of goes back and forth from flashback to present time, or at least from when the movie came out, present time, which I think was 2002.
Yeah.
So Matthew McConaughey plays one of the sons as a grown-up, and he's actually goes into a police station to I think FBI, it was like the FBI office or something like that, to inform them that, well, I know who this killer is.
The Godsend Killer.
Yeah, the Godsend Killer. And
well, I mean, like, what it basically breaks down to is that, like, it's a seemingly normal all-American family. It's a single-parent family. Like, it's just the family of the father and the 2 sons, and everything seems normal,
Yeah,
and then one night he comes in their room in the middle of the night, and he tells them about this, like, revelation that he had.
This vision that he had,
like,
of this angel.
He had a vision of an angel coming to him and telling him that, he has a mission on Earth to kill demons, but the demons look like humans.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger son is still at the age where anything dad says is just absolute truth, because dad is like the most awesome being in the world. But the older son's already old enough that he kind of like questions it, and it freaks him out a little bit. Like,
yeah.
And then what I liked about the movie is, for a long time in the movie, like upon the first viewing,
mm-hmm.
you don't know if dad is just crazy, or if he actually did see a vision from an angel or from God, telling him to kill these people that he's being told are actually demons.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I liked the most about that movie.
Yeah, I really like the story. I really like the actors in the movie, especially Powers Booth. He's the one that played the FBI guy. Matthew McConaughey's good. I think,
and there was that cool twist with Powers Booth where you find out at the end of the movie, like, with Matthew McConaughey, like, mm-hmm. you were on my list.
Yeah.
But then, like, you actually find out at the end of the movie, like, he actually did see, like, dad wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
he actually did see a vision from God, or from, like, the angel actually came to him, and that the people actually were demons.
Yeah, and for most of the movie, you have the impression that Matthew McConaughey was the older brother.
Yeah.
And then it turns out he was actually the younger brother, and he just tricked the Powers Booth's character.
And then at that same token, you find out that the older brother actually was a demon, and that was that was the demise of Dad, was he couldn't accept that.
Yeah.
And he was trying to force his son to like see his visions, and that's what eventually led to the father's death.
Yeah.
That he couldn't accept that his own son was a demon, so he couldn't.
And I also really like the scene where, I think it was like the sheriff, like he gets dragged down to their house because the older brother is like, no, like my dad's been killing people and this and that, and Bill Paxton's character has to kill him out of necessity,
right?
And then he's like, no, I committed murder there. He wasn't a demon. Yeah.
Yeah, and he acknowledges like, I had to kill a man tonight because I had to protect the mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's that. I don't know.
That's
to
what's
me,
in your head, man.
To me, that movie is very underrated.
Yeah, it is,
and it's definitely psychological horror.
And it's is it God's Hand or God's Hand?
The God's Hand Killer.
Oh, God's Hand Killer. Okay. All right. So moving on. So another one. Actually, this one's you know what? We'll go to your favorite movie. To Damien's favorite movie of all time.
Which one?
Seven.
Oh, it's an awesome movie.
It's a great fucking movie.
I want to try to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, we'll hold the reins on
No.
That's one of those movies.
It's gonna be the whole episode.
No, I've said it before. I said it about Fright Night. Like Seven's definitely one of those movies that I could spend an entire podcast on. It's one of those ones I know all the lines, but just like assuming that there might be a listener out there that like has lived under a rock or in a barn for the last like 20-25 years and actually hasn't seen Seven.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming by now everybody's seen it because it's a great movie.
Well, because Brad Pitt comes out. That's why I saw it.
and Morgan Freeman.
It's like director David Fincher, awesome director.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman, love Morgan Freeman. Brad Pitt's an underrated actor, I think. But short synopsis of the movie. They're two detectives. They get on a case of basically a serial killer in a city that it's like a macabre masterpiece of his. Like,
yeah,
he's committing 7 murders based on the 7 deadly sins, which he believes each murder is symbolic of one of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Which is gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, pride, lust, and envy. Yeah. So, and every victim he picks out is someone that's guilty of one of those, which is like, he picks the hooker for lust, the lawyer for greed, the obese,
which is understandable.
Yeah, the obese shut-in for gluttony. Yeah, and a really intelligent psychological horror movie, man. Like, I don't want to get flustered trying to like think of but I mean, it's like. No, but there's those scene where Morgan Freeman's character goes to the library and actually researches all night, like Canterbury Tales and like Dante's Inferno, because he's trying to get into the mind of the killer. Yeah, because he's that real cerebral detective, where Brad Pitt, by contrast, is just the real like the young hothead. Morgan Freeman's actually interested in getting in the guy's mind,
analyzing.
And one thing I really liked is the fact that at the end, spoiler alert, Brad Pitt shoots the killer, Kevin Spacey's character. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if that movie came out nowadays, it'd be like, well, he was about to, and he shoots like the ground, and he, something shitty like that. But no, he actually goes and shoots Kevin Spacey's character, and so he pretty much he was essentially the last victim, but he didn't die.
Well, I wanted to touch up on that. I was actually like, when I was taking notes, I was thinking about that. There's actually the two character arcs of Morgan Freeman's character and Brad Pitt's characters kind of lead up to that, because Morgan Freeman's character is very jaded. Yeah. And he's not, he doesn't have a lot of faith in humanity anymore. He's he's at the end of his career as a detective. Yeah. And he's been seeing like decades of just like the worst of the worst.
Yeah, nothing really phases him at this point.
Right. But he's jaded though, and Brad Pitt's character still kind of he's kind of like has optimistic faith in humanity still. And there's a scene where they're talking at the bar, where they're really debating about that.
Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman's explaining to Brad Pitt's character, you know, why he's so jaded and he has no faith anymore, and then Brad Pitt's, by contrast, you know, explaining to him, you know, like damn right, you know, I'm still gonna try to do good, and I still have faith that there's good out there in the world, and then it makes the ending so much more dramatic, impactful and dramatic.
Yeah.
That character that still had faith in humanity is the one that's completely broken down by John Doe, by the serial killer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but fucked with his head, man.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
That's what happens when people
you
fuck with their head.
know he's never gonna be.
That's what happens when you see your spouse's head in a box.
Yeah, you end up killing the bastard.
But it's like, you know that he's never gonna be the same after that, and
Nope.
he lost all of that optimism that he had.
Well, we don't know that.
But I think that was.
Oh no, that was the point of it. He lost it.
That was the point of it. Like that's why they built up that character arc, but for both of those characters, and throughout the movie, I think.
Yeah, and I remember. Well, the movie came out in 95?
95 or 96.
Yeah, I think it came out in 95. And one of the things that kind of reminds me of Seven also is the MTV Movie Awards, where they would parody movies. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I want to hear this, though.
No.
Where they would parody movies and this and that.
Right, I know what you're...
Yeah, and they were parodying Seven, and who they had to play the characters, because it was a scene at the end where they're in the car and they're going to the desert or into the fields, and it was William Shatner as Captain Kirk, so he was the Morgan Freeman character, he was the one driving, and then William Shatner as T.J. Hooker as the Brad Pitt character, and Rescue 911's William Shatner as John Doe.
Wow.
So he's actually just talking to himself, and they did it so well. And of course, you see T.J. Hooker. What the fuck is in the fucking box? You know, so it's just William Shatner playing all the characters.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gonna have to YouTube this because I want to see it now.
And I remember the one line I still remember is where William Shatner, like the John Doe William Shatner, is just like, oh, you'll see, you'll be very proud. I envy you. And T.J. Hooker's just like, envy me? You are me, like that. and then you see the van pull up, and it's driven by one of the green female aliens from Star Trek, and you hear the Star Trek music, you know, and it's like, we got a box, you know. So yeah, it's one of those things where every time I watch Seven or you know I hear about it always reminds you of that. It always reminds you of that.
But I thought it was really interesting about David Fincher originally didn't want to actually give John Doe a full fleshed out role in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Spacey originally was even supposed to come out in the movie because he didn't want to chip away at the mystique of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mystique of the character was what made him really interesting also.
Yeah.
What you don't see makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of the character building from there's that one where they're back at their office and Morgan Freeman's giving that speech about John Doe.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how he's much more cerebral and Brad Pitt's just much more gung ho. Let's just go get the fucker. The guy's just crazy.
Yeah, he's more. I guess I'm trying to think of the word. Impulsive.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good word. But Morgan Freeman says he's giving him that. He's it's dismissive to call him crazy. Don't make that mistake. And then he kind of when he's talking about the sloth victim, he says, and he's like, I know the line is, imagine the will it takes to sever a man's hand and use it to plant fingerprints. And he's he's making the audience think, actually try to imagine that.
Yeah.
And he's building up the character of John Doe that way, the killer.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of lines like that in the movie that make you think, I don't know. I could go on forever about Seven.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on because I wouldn't mind hearing the rest of it, but like I said, it's gonna take the entire time.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to, let's see, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
So that one, yeah, that one's classic.
Another great classic.
Yeah.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Yeah. Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Oh yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think he does that, but yeah,
Yeah.
he might as well.
And that one is very psychological because Hannibal Lecter is actually a psychiatrist
Yeah, and
who just happens to be a cannibal, serial killer.
and the one and I remember, let's see, like it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do remember most of the movie. Where, what was I going for? Yeah, the fact that Agent Starling has to talk to the serial killer in order to try to find this other serial killer.
Right.
And of course, and I've never read the books. I've never read the Harris novels.
Well, she's trying to trade privileges with him for a psychological profile on the
killer.
Buffalo Wild
Yeah,
Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
See, and it was another case where not showing him that much in the beginning, even though they show him more than they showed John Doe in 7, but
Yeah.
like not showing much of him and just like what Hannibal Lecter is coming up with as the psychological profile that made it interesting.
Yeah. And I liked how certain aspects of the Buffalo Bill is actually based on real serial killers.
Yeah,
Like for instance, like the woman's skin and all that is from Ed Gein, and
right.
wearing the cast on his arm and trying to having the van and everything's from Ted Bundy. So I did like certain aspects of the Buffalo Bill character. He's still a crazy bastard, but that goes without saying.
In terms of a horror villain, he's awesome, but only in terms of a horror movie villain.
Yeah, and actually, we could even go to like Red Dragon also, because that also deals with a killer and how I'm trying to remember Ed Norton's character's name. I can't remember.
But he was much more. The killer in Red. I only saw Red Dragon once, but the killer was much more artistic and symbolic. Like didn't he like put glass in the eyes of the victims or stuff like that?
Yeah, he put like pieces of a mirror.
Yeah.
Into the eyes of the victims, and he was always abused as a child, and I guess one of the images that was always stuck in his head was his painting of the Red Dragon, and he even got it tattooed like all over his back and pretty much like the back side of his body, like he has like the Red Dragon.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I like that whole scene where what's his name? Dollarhide, who's the killer, where he captures Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, and he's just like, I want you to record this, and why are you saying lies about me? And then the next scene you just see Philip Seymour Hoffman's character on fire, like in a wheelchair.
I need to watch it again though.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago.
Like Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Hannibal I only saw once.
Yeah,
Hannibal I only
the
saw
same
once.
with me.
Yeah, but I don't remember. Man, Hannibal. I don't remember there being like a serial killer or anything like that. And I mean, other than Hannibal Lecter himself. But I don't remember any other like killer in there. I just remember him eating Ray Liotta's brain. That's really the only part I remember.
The part that stood out, and he starts feeding it to Ray Liotta.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really the only part I remember from that. But Silence of the Lambs. Going back to Silence of the Lambs. Actually, from my understanding, it's actually a remake of Manhunter.
Yeah.
To an extent, yeah. And that one I remember seeing as a kid, but that was the only time I really saw Manhunter. Was as a kid. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to Jacob's Ladder.
That's another. That's
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
I haven't
classic.
seen that one either.
You haven't seen it? Okay, that should be your homework. Like I shouldn't be the only one doing homework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Worm Boy, you got.
No,
homework now.
I've seen that one.
Oh yeah.
It's about a guy named Jacob with a ladder.
Yeah, he climbs a ladder. Yeah.
And then
No, but that's
Yeah.
that's another movie that like the paranoia where he's like going back, and Tim Robbins' character is going back and forth from like two realities, and you're not sure which one's real, and he's not even sure which one's real.
Yeah, he's not, because it seems normal, and then at some point it seems almost, well, I wouldn't say Silent Hill, like, but strange things
He
start
starts
happening.
seeing weird things.
Yeah.
And, like the guy with the tail in the subway, and
And then when Elizabeth Pena's character is like dancing, like I think like at a party, and then like she starts growing like a tail and things
yeah,
like
and her
that.
face gets all
Distorted,
deformed.
yeah. So yeah, so Worm Boy, that's your homework. You know, I have
Sure,
to watch
I'll
10
do
Clover.
That's why there's Wikipedia.
But wasn't the whole backstory in Jacob's Ladder something about that they were soldiers in Vietnam?
Yeah,
that got experimented on with a drug, or
Is that the M something?
My impression was like he was a Vietnam soldier, and then he at some point he gets shot, and it's pretty much.
but
the
like
reason-
his whole platoon, like, and Ving Rhames came out in the movie also, like they were all experiencing the same thing.
I think
and they
so.
were all
yeah.
afraid to say it. Like no one wanted to come out and say
Yeah,
it.
and then
Why?
and
What
then
happens if they say it?
and then one of them was trying to get a hold of Tim Robbins' character. It's like, you know, like strange things are happening, this and that, and like I think he ends up dying.
But what was it that happened to them?
I honestly don't remember. It's been a while
Was
since
it
I've seen
some
it.
kind of
What?
experimental drug? And wasn't it like Dr. Jacob that's the reason that the movie's called Jacob's Ladder?
Yeah,
Was it the MK
That's
Ultra?
a-
one?
that's a that's a good question though. Like
I'm fairly, I know what the movie's about, but like as far as I'm thinking, it was something like that.
Yeah, because the only thing I really remember is that he was in Vietnam, and he gets injured, and like I guess during the process where he's dying, like he's experiencing all these things. Yeah,
Right.
But yeah, like that's really the only thing I really kind of remember, other than bits and pieces, you know, of the movie itself.
And that's what it's like. That's another thing. Like it's kept vague. Like what is it that's actually causing all the hallucination and
Yeah.
all the, and then like at the end he's at the veterans hospital and he's actually dying, and you're not sure like what caused what. Like that's what makes it interesting and much more psychologically terrifying.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to The Shining.
Oh, the big one.
Yeah. Shining, always a classic. We're talking about the Stanley Kubrick one, not the remake.
Yeah, not the made-for-TV Shining.
Yeah, which in fairness, it was closer to the novel. I've read the novel,
Right.
so it's a lot closer. It's a little more faithful to it.
Yeah, I've heard
But-
that.
Yeah, but so that's where you see like the creatures, the hedge animals actually move and stuff. But we're actually just gonna focus on the Stanley Kubrick version. Now this one I remember. I've seen it several times. Yeah.
Yeah, I own it. Seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah, and it's so great just seeing Jack Nicholson just fucking lose it. Yeah.
Well, I
To
mean,
put
like,
it
'cause
mildly.
like in a nutshell, the whole psychological terror of the movie is the isolation, the cabin fever, like the cabin fever element, the isolation, and his slow descent into madness once they're left alone and there's even like the foreshadowing where the hotel manager, tells him the story about the Grady character.
Yeah, I think it's it's a combination of psychological horror because of the isolation, and Jack Nicholson starts kind of losing his marbles after a while, and then but at the same time it's also a ghost story because Delbert Grady and all the other ghosts are essentially mainly him.
But there's like generations of ghosts in that place. They mention like Indian burial ground or
Yeah, I think that they mentioned something like it's on a burial ground or something like that.
and then it has to be real. Like there has to be actual ghosts, like you said, because Shelley Duvall's character starts seeing things.
Yeah.
So then like, okay, it's not just Jack Torrance losing his mind, because she starts seeing things also.
Yeah, and even little Danny, like let's see, like the twin, the infamous twins, and
those are creepy.
From the beginning, he's like, it's part of his character to see things because he has The Shining.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that we're talking about Stanley Kubrick. We're talking about like one of the masters of suspense, like his camera work, his directing of the actors, everything was just like building the suspense and the terror in that movie.
Yeah, and one of my favorite scenes of the movie has to be the interaction between Grady and Torrance and Jack Torrance in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite all-time parts of them. Like, yeah, a lot of people say, oh, that's when you see the ghosts and things like that. It's actually that whole little portion in the bathroom where he starts to explain, and especially where Grady starts talking, my wife didn't care for the Overlook at first, or like my daughters didn't care for the Overlook at first, and in fact, one of them stole a book of matches and tried to burn it down, but I corrected them. And when my wife tried to prevent me from doing my duty, I corrected her, Like, I just love that whole scene.
Well, his delivery of those lines that you just said, the delivery of those
I was just rushing the lines, yeah.
That's what, but the actor's delivery of those lines is what made it creepy.
Yeah.
It's a really good actor.
Because you know that he's insinuating.
Yeah, exactly.
I killed them.
Yeah, like, exactly. And he's even telling, and what kind of solidifies that it is a ghost story too is the fact that he's telling Jack information that Jack wouldn't have known.
Right.
Where he's talking about how like he's trying to bring an outside party here. It's like who is it? It's the cook. But yeah, and then it's like, and do you know that your son has a special talent? In fact, he's gonna try to use that talent against you. Yeah.
That, and they let him out of the cabinet or the freezer or wherever the wife puts him in.
Yeah, it was like the meat locker. It was
meat locker, like the storage room.
Well, yeah, it was like essentially like the big fridge.
But they let him, like, it's got to be because and that part's like really creepy because he hears the voices from outside of the ghost, and then they let him out. So that there's real supernatural elements going on. Because
I'm trying to remember the cook's name. I remember his real name, Scatman Crothers, but I can't remember his character's name in the movie, the one that has the shining too.
Yeah.
And in fact, in the novel, he doesn't die. In the novel, he doesn't die. He actually survives. And instead of Jack walking around with an axe, he actually walks around with a croquet mallet. That's what he actually uses. Yeah.
That's cool.
Just little trivia for you out there, listeners.
And you mentioned Master of Psychological Horror, Master of Suspense. So our next one is going to be Psycho, because Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh yeah.
Supreme Master of Suspense.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he's made other movies like The Birds and South by Southwest and Rear Window and things like that. But the one we're going to focus on is Psycho.
Well, Psycho's the one that tends to be, like, when it comes to Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho's the one that, like, everybody knows, like, even the casual horror fan or, like, people that aren't even really horror fans, like, usually they've either seen the movie or they know what it's about, so.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think the one thing, especially just casual fans, or at least the ones that just kind of, I watch horror movies once in a while. The one thing that they know for sure is just the shower scene.
Oh yeah.
With the music,
the iconic shower scene, because it's been parodied countless times, and But that's Psycho is another one of those movies where the exposition of it's the psychiatrist at the end, right, when he does the big exposition scene after they capture Norman Bates.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like by today's standards, you know, honestly, like when you look back, like the movie's kind of cheesy, like itself. But when you think back to like what he's talking about, what the psychiatrist is talking about, that you know, Norman got to the point where he kept his mother alive in his mind, and he would actually carry on conversations with her, and like he's carrying her corpse around the house, and like then it's like, okay, this is like a really chilling, like terrifying movie. Like,
when you kind of step back and kind of look at it.
Yeah, if you have an imagination,
you could,
you know,
you could see why someone would be like, man, that's fucked up.
Like it's terrifying, actually. Like really.
Like,
someone that has no imagination and just wants to be like spoon fed everything, like jump scares and monsters in their face, like they probably think Psycho's stupid. I've actually heard people say it before, like, I didn't get what all the hype was about Psycho. I thought it was a stupid movie, and I'm like, you have to have an imagination.
Yeah, you have to.
Once you think about what was actually going on with Norman Bates all the time.
Yeah, you had to get into his head and kind of like, wow, why would he really do that? Yeah,
like
I would probably do that.
Norman Bates.
Really, you do that?
I think so. No, I'm just fucking with y'all.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving away from Worm Boy right now.
Yeah, we're backing away slowly.
Well, I mean, like, to sum it up in a nutshell, is like Norman Bates is like Oedipal complex personified.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I've only seen a couple episodes of the show of the Bates Motel.
I want to see it.
I heard it's really good.
I heard it's good.
Yeah, it is good. I've only seen a couple episodes. I gotta continue watching the rest of it.
The latest thing I didn't like was, what's her name? Rihanna.
Yeah, I heard
she's
like
in it now.
Well, yeah. But
I haven't seen that far. I've only seen like
they actually cast Rihanna as Marion Crane from the infamous shower scene. You know, the infamous shower scene. Like, she's the Marion Crane character.
Oh, okay.
I was kind of like,
I honestly didn't know that. I didn't know that. And like I said, I'm still stuck like at season 1. You know.
I want to see it, but like in terms of the movie itself, I mean, that's just like that's an iconic horror staple. Like that's this like, and it's another one, like, as I've said before, like I've used the word before, it transcends horror.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people who aren't even horror fans are familiar at least with the plot line of Psycho.
And I really don't remember watching the sequels. You know, because there are 3 other sequels.
To be honest, I've never seen them. I've seen like a part of, I think, the beginning, the one with Henry Thomas, where they actually the mother character is actually in the movie, still alive.
I think that one's part 4. I want to say that one's part 4.
I've just seen parts of it, and I've never. Like, it's the original Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock. I love it, and I almost like don't want to watch the sequels because I don't want it to tarnish like that great horror movie classic. Yeah,
and we're not gonna focus on the Van Sant version because it's literally a shot-for-shot remake. If you've seen the original, you've seen the remake.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, it's just.
And I made the dumbass mistake of watching that in theaters when it came out.
I did too.
But did you know?
We didn't know. No, because at the time there was internet, but there was no you go on Facebook or whatever. Like, there was none of that shit.
There was no teaser or no spoiler. No, but I don't think I had seen Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho yet, because I think I was like 15 years old when that movie came out, when the Gus Van Sant version came out.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even seen Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho yet.
I wanna say that one came out in '98.
Yeah, I think I was like a freshman in high school. I was like 15, and
it was junior year in high school. So we're pretty much. We're pretty much saying our age right now. Just
not me. Speak for yourself. I was in elementary.
We're giving away our age if you want to do the arithmetic.
Yeah.
So we'll move on.
All right. So let's see.
Do you want to? I don't know. Like, have you seen Cube?
I've seen Cube once.
The original Cube.
Yeah, I've seen Cube once.
Like that to me, like I've seen it maybe like 2, maybe 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But I put that in psychological horror because I think it's a lot of like, I guess the element of like the unknown. Like,
Yeah, because you don't know why they're there.
yeah, they don't like they don't know why they're there. Like, well, you know, a short synopsis in case, you know, any listeners haven't seen it. There's like 6, 7 strangers that all wake up in a room together. They don't know each other, and they discover that, you know, they're in some kind of huge complex where that's it's just like endless square rooms.
Yeah, and they're all trapped somehow.
Yeah, some of them are safe. Some of them have like deadly traps, and then like they slowly start to figure out that like each one of them has a skill where they can start to like, you know, find their way around in this giant cube, but they don't even know it's a cube for most of the movie, for like a good portion of the movie. And then like there's kind of like more, like as the characters are revealed all throughout the movie, you start finding out like some of them are sinister, like, and they'll actually kill some of the other characters just to get out.
Yeah.
And it's that whole element, like the cabin fever element, I guess. Like what we were saying earlier, like they start panicking and they start turning on each other. Like, I don't know. I think it's a really good psychological horror movie for that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was genius that you find out at the very end that if they just would have stayed in the room where they were at the very beginning of the movie, that the giant cube shifts like a Rubik's Cube. Yeah. And that room eventually becomes the bridge for them to just walk right out.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of reminiscent. Well, I should say Saw is more reminiscent to that. I think Cube came out first before.
Yeah, Cube came
Saw.
out first.
Well, the first Saw movie. Back when it was just like a yearly thing, and
yeah, because I saw Cube like my first year of college, which was like 2001, 2002, and I know, and the first Saw came out in 2004, so this one had to be first.
Yeah, and I would say Saw is probably another, at least, well, the first one for sure, another psychological.
Yeah, for sure.
Or, yeah, I mean, yeah, it became kind of slasher after a while to a certain extent, because it was just a yearly. Okay, let's see how these people die.
Yeah.
Well, I before, like, yeah, Saw, definitely, you're right.
Yeah.
But there was one, it just came to me right now, like, there's one more thing, like, I wanted to say about the movie Cube that I found, like, it's like really ironic and terrifying.
Yeah.
That at the end, the only one that's still alive and makes it out is the guy that turns out to be, like, they think he's just, like, retarded all throughout the movie, but it turns out he's actually, like, an autistic genius, like Rain Man.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that makes it out, and he's the only one that's like didn't even realize he was ever in danger.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, other than being a genius as far as like math and stuff like that, like he has no social ability, so he didn't even, he's like a child, he didn't even realize that he was in danger. And it's just ironic that he's the only one that makes it out at the end and the rest of them die.
Yeah, that's true. And
but anyway, yeah, Saw, definitely psychological terror.
I wouldn't want to play that game.
But it's, I mean, Saw is another one like 7, because Jigsaw is punishing people that he thinks that don't appreciate their life.
Yeah, they take life for granted.
And and then even the traps he puts them in are somewhat thematic to their sins. Yeah, like in part 2, the guy that's like the snitch. And he's always spying on people and ratting them out. Like he implants the key in the back of his eye, and he has to like cut the key out, and he only has like 2-3 minutes or something to do it. Yeah. Before that, like Iron Maiden device like clamps and like bashes bashes his skull apart.
Yeah, and for the first one, I remember, like I like the whole tension, especially towards the end where it's like, oh, I gotta cut off my, it was like a foot, right? Like they gotta cut it off. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. And he's actually like mad enough and insane enough that he actually does it.
Yeah. Oh. And the fact that at the very end, like Jigsaw just gets up and just walks off.
He was the body that was laying
he
there
was
the
the
whole
body. Yeah.
time. Just watching. Which is also like 7. Because I know a lot of actual serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
They like all throughout history, they found out that like they're very much like they want to watch other people like being mesmerized by their work, and they actually visit the crime scenes, and they're there in the crowd at their own crime scene, like watching the spectators and watching the police. Yeah, and so Jigsaw in a way was doing that. He wanted to be there the whole time, like just literally in the room with them. Yeah, and it was the same thing with John Doe in 7. Mm-hmm. That he actually goes back and he's taking pictures, and you find out later, like, when they finally go into his apartment and they find the pictures of Brad Pitt. Yeah, and they're like the photographer from the fucking stairs. Yeah, and it's the same thing with Jigsaw. Mm-hmm. Like he felt, oh shit, he was there the whole time. Like,
let's see, what's another good one? Actually, one that you could call it psychological horror. It has horror elements to it because it involves the killer is American Psycho.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that one, and I love the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack to it.
80s, maybe.
Yeah, just 80s.
Okay, well, this is one of the rare ones that I actually have read the book because I'm not like I'll put it right out there. I'm not the big reader of this group. Yeah, but I actually have read the novel of American Psycho, and it's like once you get because it's kind of like there's parts where it's like a horror comedy almost. Yeah, like it really is. Yeah, it kind of is. Because I remember but I remember seeing an interview where they were talking to the director, and she was saying that the reason she cast Christian Bale was because he's the one that like when she was talking to him. Like, she was like, oh, this guy got it. Yeah. Like, because a lot of the other actors were real, like, trying to break down the character of Patrick Bateman and getting into the psychology of Patrick Bateman. Yeah. And Christian Bale was the one that understood, like, he's a total, like, psychopath. Yeah. But he's a total sociopath that has no feelings. Like, it's all a game to him. Like, it's all, like, and that's why she was like, okay, I'm casting him. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of, and there are a bit, and it is to a certain extent kind of a dark comedy, right? Especially the scene where he kills, I can't remember the character's name, but it's when he's playing Hip to Be Square, and then he's just he's just rambling on about the song, and Huey Lewis and the News. Well, I mean, it was kind of like a thing in motif in the movie. Every time he starts talking about some kind of like some pop star music, that's when he's gonna kill somebody, like
or just have sex with them, like
having sex with the girls.
Yeah,
he's just watching his body.
Oh, and it was actually
he's also very narcissistic.
Well, I mean, but that's the whole thing. Like it's the movie's kind of like a satire of like the 80s yuppie culture. Yeah. Like, how they were just totally self-involved and just...
It's funny how they don't believe him at the end. Well, it's not even true, but...
No, well, I mean, that's... From what I remember, it's up to interpretation that... it was probably just in his head.
I killed a lot of people.
But... Or who knows, maybe he did and they just don't believe him,
Well, but I mean, it was actually... But yeah, like the Bret Easton Ellis said, like, it's supposed to be like... It's up to the reader.
Yeah, it's ambiguous in terms of.
But there's that one really good scene that I didn't understand the first time I saw the movie, because when I saw the movie I hadn't read the book yet. Yeah. The scene where he goes back to Jared Leto's character. What was his name?
I can't remember. I think he's the one that I was talking about.
Alan?
Yeah.
Was it Alan? Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Wormboy.
Yeah, thank you, Wormboy.
Yeah, I finally talk.
No, I had a brain fart, and Wormboy just said...
I was trying to remember the name.
Paul Allen. Like, yeah. Well, when he goes back to his apartment after he's been using it to, like, kill the prostitutes, and he's got, like, bodies piling up in there. Mm-hmm. Like, and then it's all, like... And he knows that it's going to be bad, so he actually puts on, like, the surgical mask, and and then he walks in, and it's all white-walled. and he's confused, and the audience is confused because I was confused. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, what's going on? And then immediately I started thinking, like, oh, it's all, like what you were saying, it's all in his mind. It was all an illusion.
Yeah.
Like, but then the real estate lady shows up, and she says something like, oh, are you my 12 o'clock? And he's just kind of looking at her, and he doesn't understand what's going on. Well, the point of that was, like I said, it was kind of like Bret Easton Ellis wrote the book as like a satire and making a political statement about like the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, how real estate was a major, business in New York during the 80s. And the whole thing was supposed to be that the real estate company had actually cleaned up the apartment and covered it up so they could put the apartment back on the market.
Yeah.
So when she starts getting creepy and eerie, and it's kind of like evil facing off with evil.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes that scene so good, because it's like he knows that the company she's representing covered up all the murders.
Yeah.
But she knows he's the one that committed all the murders.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they both got information on each other, and they start keeping it really vague. Like, she's playing the real estate person at first, like, hi, or, being real polite. And then she has that one line when he's leaving where she's just like, don't come back here. And he says, don't worry, I won't. Like, that scene, like, that's what that scene was supposed to be.
Oh,
like, it actually wasn't.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I haven't read the book. So.
Wow.
It actually wasn't in his head. Like, that was, like, Bret Easton Ellis was making a political statement, I guess.
So it was real then.
About...
And you're talking about in the book, like, this is what happens.
Well, they kept it in...
And they kept it in the movie.
They kept it in the movie.
But it's still kind of...
But they don't really explain it in the movie.
Yeah, so if someone didn't read the book, it kind of throws them for a loop.
It was a satire. It was like he was making a statement about, corporate greed in the 80s. That the real estate company would just cover it up so they could put that apartment back on the market.
Yeah, for those of you that were born, I want to say probably in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, and don't know what a yuppie is, pretty much what a yuppie...
What's a yuppie?
Thank you. Thank you for asking, Warren Boy. From my understanding is in the 80s, there were a businessman, or at least somebody that was successful. Usually it was someone... probably like in their maybe 30s or 40s and whatnot, that were very successful. And the way yuppies kind of measured their success was how much stuff they had,
right?
As opposed to how happy they were or what have you. So the more money they had, the more cars they had.
It was the
bigger
80s.
The house.
It was the 80s. It was all materialistic.
Yeah,
like
the 80s were very materialistic.
The business cards.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I
That's
got
why.
mine from.
Yeah.
It's made out of this.
Exactly.
That ties in to what you were talking about earlier, Ruben, about how they don't believe him at the end.
Oh yeah.
About the way that he's trying, like he's just flat out saying, like, you idiot, I murdered Paul Allen. I'm telling you right in your face. Why can't you believe me? Yeah. And then the guy, it's another businessman, and the guy says, that's just not. And then even the detective that Willem Dafoe plays, how he and Patrick Bateman doesn't even understand how he's getting away with it so easily. Yeah. And again, it's another genius of the writing of Bret Easton Ellis, that like a lot of the yuppies, they were all competing and they were all dressing alike, same hairstyles, same, and they don't even know who each other are. Like there's that.
They really don't have an identity amongst themselves.
Exactly.
And the fact that
identity.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't worry. We'll get to
that's
that.
another one.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So that's the reason he gets away with it so easy, and it leaves him like totally empty and dead inside at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because he wanted that thing to be true for everyone else.
I think, it's also for the fact that because he would do these horrific things, that he would stand out, as opposed to just blend in with these other businessmen that like to do the same things and have similar, card stock, business cards.
But it could have been like that he was sick of that
Lifestyle.
super
Yeah.
saturated culture, and he was disgusted by, and he just wanted out, and that's why eventually he was just trying to confess to the murders, and even that's how the book ends. He's walking towards a door, and it says, "This is not an exit." Like, and that's symbolic to like how there's no escape for him. Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how he was able to get away with it so easily, because like people were always mistaking him for somebody else and somebody else for him. So the detective was getting all this conflicting information.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
because people were saying, no, Patrick Bateman was with me that night over here, but it actually wasn't him. It was somebody else that other yuppie idiot thought was him. You know what I mean?
yeah. And
Like, that was another. He was making a statement about yuppie culture.
yeah.
Like, they were all the same. They were all into whatever was popular. They were trying to dress the same. They were.
Yeah, they
You
were
know?
they were very narcissistic, and because Patrick Bateman was always talking about how like, oh, I'm putting this type of cream on my face because it accentuates, you know.
But it's like that there was no individuality.
Yeah,
They were all the same. Like,
Yeah.
they were all trying to be the same.
Yeah, and the fact that you know when he was monologuing in his head, you know, when I was doing voiceover, he was talking about how like, oh, he's listening to the latest, you know, Katrina and the Waves, you know, song.
That's another one of those movies that's really great. Like, you
Yeah,
could go on and on analyzing that one. So I guess we can move on to Identity.
Yeah, since we brought up Identity and Wormboy kind of pointed it out.
That's a good movie.
It is a good movie. Yeah.
I actually like. I'm assuming everybody's seen it by now. It's like over 10 years old. So I'll, like, spoiler alert. Like, it didn't. I mean, maybe y'all caught on it, but it didn't dawn on me that they were all personalities of that one mental patient
Me either.
until they revealed it in the movie. Like, it didn't dawn on me. To be
I didn't.
honest.
No,
It
no,
caught
I
me by
didn't-
surprise too.
No, it didn't occur to me till like once
Once they
you
revealed
see
it.
that once you see the patient. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Pruitt Taylor Vince, I think that was his real name. The one that came out like in The Walking Dead as Otis
Yeah.
in season 2.
The creepy, bald, heavy guy
Yeah.
with the weird
With the
eye.
eyes, yeah, the one that comes out in Constantine. Also,
Yeah.
yeah, like I just thought they were just separate people until you actually see the doctors or what have you like talk to him, you know, and then you just see how all the identities like interact with each other.
And this is the first time that they're all being forced to confront each other.
Yeah.
Through some kind of like mythological treatment or some like medication that he's taking that's like they're all merging, like,
Yeah, they're all gathered at this motel.
but it's all in his mind. But
And of
you don't find that out until the end of the movie.
Yeah, and of course John C. McGinley comes out also.
Yeah. Can't have a movie without can't have a horror movie without John McGinley.
He can, yeah, I swear, man, he can play virtually anything.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was like cast very
Yeah, he was.
against character and that. Like,
Yeah, like he was a very like meek and kind of, I guess you could say cowardly, but he was like a very meek, mild mannered. I guess you could say very kind of like a weak-esque kind of character, you know. And then you see him like in the Belko Experiment, and he's just like this this tough ass motherfucker. And of course, it's Dr. Cox, you know.
But like the most, I think like John Cusack's character is probably one of the most interesting in the movie.
Yeah.
Like he's the one that's the most tortured, and but of course then like I said, you find out that they're all not.
Yeah, they're not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all in this guy's mind. Like.
Yeah, and then but I really like that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember the big twist. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I think it was like with the little boy or the little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the little boy that was actually like the killer. So they were trying to determine which identity was the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all throughout the movie, they're like hinting more towards Ray Liotta's character.
Yeah.
Or what's it like Gary Busey's son?
Oh, Jake Busey.
Jake Busey. There you go.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking it's one of them, or.
Oh yeah.
And then you find out like that's another one. Like I'm not gonna try to like I'm not gonna try to act cool. I didn't. That's another one that surprised me when it turned out to be the little boy as the killer.
Yeah,
and then it's creepy at the end because he's the only personality that survived.
Yeah.
So now he's just the killer.
Yeah.
All the other characters that some of them had actually had good in them.
Yeah.
Or any kind of purity. Now they're all gone, and he's just the killer now.
Yeah,
and then
and he manages to get away, and
mm-hmm.
he's out searching the landscape for truth.
Kind of reminds me
and
of this new movie. What's it called? With the what's his name?
Oh, Split.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
Kind of reminds me of that. That's a psychological thriller.
With John McAvoy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy.
James
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
Yeah.
More homework for you, Toots.
Huh?
More homework for you.
And you, Worm Boy. Have you
Oh
seen
yeah,
that?
Gotta watch
I already saw
Split.
that one
Oh, you already seen that one?
twice.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's good. Well, I mean, we can mention that one like later after we've all seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
But
gonna have to do a psychological horror part 2.
But I mean, yeah, definitely there's
There's so many.
Yeah.
But I mean, definitely there's parallels because of the multiple personality.
Yeah. Let's see. So, I know that
Well,
for...
we're talking about M. Night Shyamalan. We can at least spend a few minutes on The Sixth Sense.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a
yeah.
classic.
That's like
Yeah.
another one that might be like that might be a psychological horror staple.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, The Sixth Sense. It's I guess you could consider it a classic now.
I think it's a classic.
Yeah, it's one of those where
Fucking-
everybody was talking about it, and
Yeah.
and you know,
everybody was running around in school
I see
saying,
dead people.
There you go.
yeah, everyone.
I
was
remember that
saying
shit. I was like, shut up already.
There were novelty T-shirts that said "I see dead people."
Yeah.
Which back then I guess it was cool, but now it would be like cliche.
Oh yeah.
Now people would be like, "Really? That's witty to you?"
But it was a really good twist. You know? What
Yeah.
twist? Yeah.
What a twist.
Yeah. It was a very good twist in terms of like.
Another one that I
Yeah.
didn't see coming. Like,
It's supposed to, like the happening or.
Oh, God.
but it's great because when you rewatch the movie a second time,
Hmm.
you actually realize like they tricked you. Like the character of Malcolm, Dr. Malcolm, like he
Yeah.
never interacts with anything all throughout the movie. Like you're like, oh, he was a ghost the whole time,
They're all
and it makes
ghosts.
sense. Like
Yeah.
they actually took the time to make it like to fool you upon first viewing.
Yeah.
And then like you see it a second time and now you're actually looking for it because you know the twist ending.
Yeah.
Like it all makes sense. Like when he goes to the restaurant, he never actually talks to his wife. When he's sitting in the living room with Cole's mom,
Mhm.
like they never actually talk. But since you see them sitting there, like you just your mind just like you assume that he was there talking to the mother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's a classic. I mean, because it just has the twist.
And then again,
It doesn't have a lot of
Substance.
no. It has some substance. It just doesn't have a lot of rewatch. To a certain extent, it doesn't have a lot of, I guess, rewatchability. I guess you could say.
well, but I mean, like I said, I think it when you upon the second viewing, like it's more fun. Like you can watch it and actually realize like they took the time to make sure like there's no mistakes. Like he never actually interacts with anything in the movie except Cole.
Yeah.
Like he actually was a ghost the whole time.
Yeah, and before, people are saying like, "Oh, I've watched it several times. I can still watch it again." It's just my opinion in terms of rewatchability. I've seen it a couple of times.
I saw it a few times.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times, but
It's not one of those I
like,
yeah, let's watch
and
it.
exactly. 'Cause
Like I'd rather watch Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I think
Over and over.
like I still consider it a classic. It's still a good movie, but once you see the twist, it's just okay.
Yeah, but you're not gonna choose that when you're gonna watch a horror movie.
Yeah. But
It's
like I
just
said,
something
that's just my opinion. If you want to watch it 100 times, that's great. More power to you. All right, so I guess we'll do one more before we call it. Let's just do one more. And like I said, there's so many. Like we said, there's so many films in this subgenre.
Pet Sematary.
So we're just touching on a few. Pet Sematary.
I'm joking.
Yeah, that was more. That was just more supernatural.
Well, since
Seeing
we
you're
started
paying attention.
Since we started the podcast, giving our critique of the new It trailer, like keeping it all Stephen King themed, like we can go ahead and talk about Misery.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Definitely psychological thriller though, and it's another one of those like we were talking about earlier. Like it's realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no supernatural elements.
Yeah.
Like it's just this crazy fan of a writer because there's always a writer in Stephen King's stories. Like,
and I think what kind of makes it scarier is the fact that this could happen.
exactly. Yeah. Like a crazy obsessed fan that
and
gets so crazed by isn't the whole thing like the way that the writer took this character that she was kind of living vicariously through?
Yeah.
That when he kills her or
once Paul Sheldon kills James Caan's character, like once he kills the character off, that's where she just goes apeshit and like bring her back.
She like holds him hostage and forces him to like rewrite the story, and she's like torturing him, but in her mind she's not. She's being polite to him, and like she's thinking she's like taking care of him. She's like what makes her character scary is the fact that she's like.
She's a nurse. She was a nurse.
But it's like, as long as you rewrite this, I'm cool. But if you try to fuck with this, like she just turns insane.
Yeah.
And the part where she hobbles him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. I think everybody remembers that scene. Whoever's seen it remembers.
Like if you don't feel that in your ankles, like
you have no soul. Yeah. Just like me.
But that's what made that character freaky was she didn't think she was crazy.
Yeah.
Like she just thought like you need to fix this, and once you do that, I'll set you free. Like it's not a big deal. Like
and I've read stories of how like celebrities nowadays like, and it's nothing new. Like they'll have like a stalker or something like that, and restraining orders and whatnot, and but compared to and I understand it's fiction, but compared to the shit that happened to Paul Sheldon, I was like, man, they're
well,
it could be so much worse.
Stephen King definitely probably had those stories in mind when he wrote the character, like the obsessed stalker fan,
and I'm sure whatever the real celebrities are going through is pretty bad. It's probably really bad, especially having to deal with like a stalker, especially someone that breaks into their house and stuff like that. Yeah, of course, nobody wants that.
Hell no.
But imagine somebody that hobbles you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they kidnapped you. It just so happens that he was in a car accident and he just happens to be there.
But didn't she cause the accident? Don't you find out later in the movie?
I don't know.
Like she caused the accident. Like it was all
planned.
It was all orchestrated by her. Like you don't know that initially, but you find out like it was all orchestrated. Like she meant for him to get in that accidit. So
I'm trying to remember when.
I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
I need to rewatch the movie
because that's what makes it scary when that reveal is made. Like he finds out like it wasn't an accident. Like she intentionally crashed his car, like to take him hostage, to force him to rewrite this because she's so nuts and living vicariously through that character that like you can't kill that character. Like I need him or I need her.
Yeah, and I need to rewatch the movie because when I saw the movie, and I saw it a couple of times, I'm surprised I remember more of it than I do, with my shitty memory. And
we're getting old.
Yeah,
we're getting old.
Yeah, we're getting old.
Speak for yourself again.
But yeah, like when I saw the movie, this was when you know, VHS was still in style, and you know, and SNES and Genesis were
Yeah,
reigning
those were the
supreme.
days.
Yeah, those were the days.
And you had to
But
go to
this
the
is-
video store, and they're like, shit, the horror section was awesome.
And it was next to like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and things like that. So that's how long ago I've seen the movie. I think I might have seen it one time after that, but that was it.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's definitely, like you said, like a big element of the movie that makes it scary is there are no supernatural, otherworldly elements. Like, it's
Yeah.
something that could conceivably happen in the real world. Like, she's completely human. She's just so unhinged and
Yeah.
obsessed with, like I said, living vicariously through that character
Mm-hmm.
that she will actually orchestrates, you know, to take the writer hostage, to take the author hostage and force him to rewrite the, you know, it's chilling to think about. Like, it's good. It's a good story. Stephen King.
I think,
I
but I
think-
think,
I don't know. I think, Stephen King is the best.
yeah.
And the Beast.
Just to
And the
sum
Beast.
it up, like,
Yeah.
just to sum it up, Stephen King is the best.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure everybody at some point had maybe like a TV show or a book or a movie or like some sort of series where the author or, you know, director or what have you kind of does something that you don't agree with. Now, mind you, most of us aren't as obsessive as,
Right.
you know, what was her name? Kathy Bates' character.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially like what makes the movie like
Yeah.
so scary is like.
But I'm sure we've all experienced something where, you know, we have a favorite series and then at some point we're like, oh my god, what the fuck
Right.
did you do?
And that's what makes the movie relatable.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, you're pissed off about it for an hour or so, but then then you come back to reality. But
Yeah,
not this character. Like, she's so unhinged that it's like she can't live without being able to like escape into that novel series that author was writing. You know?
Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to add?
No? I think everything came out good.
No, but what I'm gonna add is it looks like we're gonna have to do another one on psychological horror somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
Because there's so many good ones. And like I said, like when it comes down to horror, like psychological horror is probably my favorite subgenre because it's so interesting and, you know.
Yeah, and I know that some of the episodes we're thinking of doing somewhere down the line in the near future is probably, you know, the most, you know, the more, you know, horror, like the horror memorable. I can't even talk anymore. That's how old I am now. Most memorable characters
Yeah.
in horror.
The shittiest movies.
Also, yeah, Awesomely Bad. We still got to do that one.
Soundtracks.
Awesomely Bad / very, you know, shitty bad. Yeah.
Well, those ones will be more fun, like more kind of, you know, carefree. Once we're talking about like memorable characters, memorable quotes and all that, like that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this episode. I'm Toots.
Damien.
Worm Boy.
All right, and we'll see y'all later.
But like we always say, you know, we want this to be very like unpretentious, down to earth. Like, just don't be afraid to just comment us. Like, just any kind of critique you want to give in the comments. Like, anything we missed, any titles we missed.
No,
like,
yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we.
Or give your opinion about things that we mentioned.
Yeah, and
like,
subscribe to the channel, guys.
Yep.
3 Dudes of Horror.
Give us a subscription.
Yeah, that thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm Toots.
Worm Boy.
Yeah.
Worm Boy.
So excited.
The 3 Dudes of Horror.
Yeah.